Hey folks, we're back again for lecture number 2 on the urinary system. So, last time we talked, we were discussing the flow of blood through the kidney. And obviously the flow of blood is important for all the basic reasons, all the basic great things blood does, but also the kidney is where we take that blood and we get rid of all the bad stuff. We modify it by creating a brand new fluid called urine. And we got to talk about that a bit here. So, this picture is a stylized representation of the things that are going on in the renal cortex. And what I'm going to talk about here is going to happen a millionfold in each kidney. Okay? So, in each kidney, this stuff's going to happen a million times. And it's happening all the time, too. All right, so we got blood coming via an afferent arteriole into a ball of capillaries called the glomerulus. And the force of blood pressure pushes water and small stuff out of the glomerulus into this space around it. This thing around the glomerulus is called the glomerular capsule, and it catches the fluid and small stuff that gets pushed out of the glomerulus. And that pushing of the fluid and small stuff, that is filtration, glomerular filtration, since it's in the glomerulus. And the fluid that results with all the little small stuff that ends up in the capsular space, that's called filtrate. Then that fluid flows through a series of tubes. And so the filtrate flows through this series of tubes, first through a tube called the proximal convoluted tubule, more on it later, then through a tube called the loop of Henle, which is just a great name, more on it later too. Yes, I don't like this slide, it calls it the nephron loop. I like loop of Henle better. And then through another tube called the distal convoluted tubule. And by the time it's here, it's no longer filtrate, it's urine. All right, and it ends up in this collecting duct. So something must happen to this fluid as it goes through this set of tubes. Well, something does happen to it. And let's look at a parallel flow here. When blood leaves the glomerulus, it goes into an efferent arteriole. And by the way, this is weird, where we have an arteriole carrying blood into capillaries and an arteriole taking blood out. Anyway, we'll come back to that later too. So blood from the efferent arteriole goes up into some capillaries known as peritubular capillaries. Peri meaning around, tubular meaning tubules, and the peritubular capillaries parallel these renal tubules. And what that does is it allows exchange to occur. So earlier we mentioned that water and small stuff gets filtered. Well, here's a crazy thought. You are filtering more than 100 liters a day. You make more than 100 liters, maybe almost 180 liters of filtrate every single day. That's crazy. Obviously, you don't make that much pee. So most of the water that you filter that ends up as filtrate needs to be taken back into the blood. That's what this arrow represents. The movement of substances, which can include water, from the filtrate in the tubule back into the bloodstream. And that process is called tubular reabsorption. Things you would want to reabsorb include not only water, but nutrients, vitamins, ions, all sorts of important stuff. So reabsorption is one of the major steps in making urine. So first we filter. We end up with a fluid called filtrate, which has water and small stuff. And that small stuff includes both good stuff and bad stuff. And we got to reabsorb the good stuff. Okay, let's go back to this glomerular capillaries here. Obviously, we don't filter everything here because there's a blood vessel leaving. So this blood leaving must still have some bad stuff, some wastes in it, some ions we might not need. So that blood goes along, do, 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 do. And then right here, notice we have another arrow. This arrow represents a process called secretion, where we're taking substances from the blood, This is after filtration. So these are things that didn't get filtered, but we're like, hey, we still want to get rid of this. It's bad. So we move that stuff from the blood into the neighboring renal tubule. That's called secretion. And notice we do reabsorption secretion kind of throughout here, all right? Also via a set of blood vessels called the vasa recta. And by the time we get over here, we've done a ton of reabsorption and secretion. We'll still do a little more later on. We've done a ton already, so the fluid we end up having by now is urine. Okay. See if you can figure out what I'm looking for here. Let me know if you're stumped. Excuse me as I cough into my microphone. What event is depicted right here? That's question 1. And what event is depicted right here? That's question 2. Let me know. We can do a little math. I know you guys love math. Whatever we filtered, minus what gets reabsorbed, plus whatever we add, is what we end up peeing away. You'll definitely get a math problem involving this on your exam. Okay, let's put a name to that set of structures where all these events happens. That set of structures where filtration, reabsorption, and secretion take place is called the nephron. And there's about 1 million nephrons per kidney. 5 parts to a nephron. Glomerulus, right there, boom, boom. Glomerular capsule, around the glomerulus. The proximal convoluted tubule. The loop of Henle, zoop, zoop. The distal convoluted tubule. And then the whole thing empties into a collecting duct. About 1 million nephrons per kidney. About 100,000 collecting ducts. All right, cool. Let's talk about the glomerular capsule. Here it is. 2-layered structure enveloping, encapsulating the glomerulus. It encloses the glomerulus. It receives the filtered blood, which is, of course, known as the filtrate. This is kind of a stylized picture, but we can see there is a visceral layer here and a parietal layer. It's got to be a 2-layered structure. That way it can go over the glomerulus and still have a space, a capsular space that can contain the filtrate. If we look at a more slightly more accurate picture, the red things under here are the glomerular capillaries, and here's our afferent and efferent arterioles. The glomerular capillaries are covered in the visceral layer of the glomerular capsule, which by the way is also sometimes called the Bowman's capsule. And the visceral layer is made up of cells called podocytes, because these cells have little feet that come off of them. The demonstration I like to do, and maybe you see me do this in class already, is to take my fingers on both hands and kind of interlock them. If you do that, and I hope you're doing it right now, you can leave a little bit of space. So what you've actually created is a filter. You could pour water through the spaces in your hands, and big things wouldn't flow through. Little things would still pass through those spaces. So that's what's going on here. This layer is made up of these podocytes with these feet that help form the filter. Now here we have the parietal layer, simple squamous. It's going to help catch and contain the filtrate that is just produced. Now from the glomerular capsule, there's a picture of one, by the way. I was about to get going on. Can't believe I just said that. That makes no grammatical sense. I was about to continue with the proximal convoluted tubule. But I forgot about this histological slide here. Right here is the glomerulus plus podocytes. Then this line right here is the parietal layer of the glomerular capsule. Just a line because it's simple squamous epithelium. And right in here is the capsular space, which would contain the filtrate. All right, I guess we should pick up with a proximal convoluted tubule next time. See you later.